y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mahali of Mahali Studio, and you are in the studio with me today, and I'm going to share with you all my top 5 most used Copic sketch markers for rendering lip color. This is for my fashion illustrations, specifically for my fashion art paper dolls, but whenever I'm sketching or designing, these are my top 5 go-to for lip color. I'm always adding and exploring new ones, and I love pink, so I have quite a collection, and depending on the look, if I'm going from an existing, if I'm sketching and rendering an existing runway look, then I'm going to go based off of that. If it's of a celebrity from a red carpet, anything like that. But these are my faves for my own designs, my own original looks. And they tend to cross over, to be fair, because these are very kind of classic tones that I think work for a variety of skin tones. As I showed in the 2 previous videos of this series, we explored the different types of skin tones that I tend to render the most, my top 5 skin tones, and then my top 5 hair colors, which were more Copic markers because some of them need 1 or 2 to create the effect if it's dark brown, blonde, light brown, auburn, or black. So I recommend you check those out if you're looking to get to know Copic markers, how to render fashion faces, fashion illustrations, fashion design, if you're new to all of this, or if you're just looking to expand and build on your existing skills. So today we're going to focus on lip colors, which are so fun. I feel like at this stage when I'm rendering a paper doll, and these are much larger faces because my paper dolls are only an average about 7 inches, so their faces are really small, but I love getting to do all the detail and like the makeup and stuff like that. So this is again another fun aspect of it, and something that you really want to consider depending on the look, right? Depending on the skin tone, depending on what the vibe is. I'm sharing with you my top 5, my favorites, and my rendering techniques. So let's start with first look. One of my most used, beloved lip tones is R81. To begin with, I already love this color. It's a beautiful pink, and I think it's just very delicate and gorgeous for rendering fashion looks as well. But it's also so pretty as a lip color. So using the brush tip, start with the outline, darker on the edges, kind of like we did with the skin tone and with the hair. And you can just build it up. Leave a little white if you want for a highlight, or you could use white Prismacolor pencil or a white gel pen. There's the Copic Acria markers that can also add that. It depends on the kind of detail and highlight that you want, and we'll let it dry, but we can keep adding to the edges, and it's really buildable, and it's just such a pretty color. And of course for me, because I outline, I will be outlining this with a fine Copic multiliner, probably one of the finer ones, like 0.05. That's usually what I do for detail. As you can see, it's just such a pretty pink. I love this pink. Another way I may add detail or more definition or more shadows is with these kinds of fine line pens in the appropriate pink. So sometimes I will do that too, where I want to go in and just get more of a, like a lip liner outline. So I may use that as well. My second most used, and again, these are in no particular order, it just happened to be how I'm rendering these, so it's not top number 1, though maybe with RD1 it is. But another lip tone that I love to use a lot is RV99. It has that dark purple, black 90s lip vibes, which I kind of do a lot with my sketches and designs, and I just think it's such a beautiful contrast, and it's such a beautiful, rich lip color in general, and so I tend to use this a lot, again, depending on my designs, depending on the look, but I will many times use RV99, and as you can see, it's just, I mean, this is a great color on its own. It's great for outerwear, it's great for that moodiness. You can actually use it for hair as well if you're going for that kind of dark purpley red hair, which comes in and out of fashion, so I have used it for that as well, but it's a great lip color too. So similarly, I'm going to outline with the edge of the brush tip. I just want to make sure it doesn't bleed or spread or anything, and if I want to leave some white highlights, or I may add that later, but even just one layer, it's just such a pretty rich color. I really like it. And because it's so dark, this is where I might incorporate the white Prisma pencil and to just do some of those fine lines to create some highlight in the lips if I want that nice pout and effect, and to sort of accentuate the lines of the lips when I'm rendering, even in the small detail that I do for my paper dolls. Third on my list, and a rich, beautiful color on its own, dark red R89, is, look at it, it's just so beautiful. And it is that, again, kind of retro 90s, 2000s lip color that I feel is coming back, comes in and out, and it's very wintry, it's very moody, and one that I use a lot. A great one to have on hand. So again, because it's dark and it's so delicate, I'm gonna use really light brush strokes. This is where you can leave more white if you want, if you want to kind of portray that it's a gloss. But this is a nice dark tone. So getting it on the edges of the lip. And again, because it's so dark, I will probably incorporate the white Prisma, as well as this is when I may bring in the Art Alternatives fine liner just to get those lines even more defined on the lips. And those shadows, those darker edges that we have. And then a little bit of the white for the highlight. Again, this is kind of beyond just sharing my favorite Copic sketch markers, but some of the details that I like to incorporate. And again, I will outline that with 0.05. I think it just adds, and I like an outline in my illustrations, drawings, and such. A lot of times also, again, depending on the fashion design, the fashion look, the lip color may also serve for the hair tie. It ties it all in, no pun intended, and it looks really nice. This I will probably use one of my metallic pens to establish the jewelry if it's a silver. Again, it would depend on the look, but this is just a face, so I can have fun with it. Okay, next up is E04, which I love as a neutral, natural lip. It's almost as if you don't have much of a lip color. I think it works well for all skin tones. It has a richness to it. As you can see, it can kind of go light and then I can build it up. So depending on, is it a lip color or is it just a natural, neutral lip tone, I think it works really well and one that I use a lot. Like if I'm doing a group of paper dolls and I kind of want them all to have the same hair color, different skin tones, but the same lip, ending again, right? These are mini collections that I've designed in the past, or it's based off of characters, or if it's fashion, runway looks, whatever it is, depending on what I'm trying to achieve. And sometimes a neutral lip across the board is what I'm looking for, and I have found that E04 works really, really well for that. So we're going to do that for this auburn hair fashion illustration. Fortunately, this fashion face has a nice full lip, so I can really kind of show you guys this color. And again, using the brush tip, I'm kind of going really delicately to get the detail, and it's blending with the skin tone that I accidentally kind of sketched in there. Gonna leave a little bit white down there because she's got that nice pout. A little darker at the edges. And this one as well, look at that, it's just such a beautiful neutral. I really like this one. I think I relate to it as like my own natural lip color. I do have the Art Alternatives fine liner for this as well. This is like the most neutral of the pinks that I can go in and give that liner outline, which I really like. Sometimes again it gives me those shadows and the richness. So here I left the white of the page. In these ones, I created it with the pencils. It always depends what you're trying to create and what is the look and what is the vibe, but this is kind of almost a glossy, natural lip color. And finally, in my top 5 most used Copic sketch markers for lip color, lip tones is R85, sister to R81, which we used over here. I'm obsessed with pink, and this is one of my favorite pinks, and I use it outside of just lip colors. It has a richness, and part of what I'm looking at when I'm making the decision prior to rendering what is the lip color is also how does it look with the skin tone I've gone with. And it's important for it to work, just as if you're selecting, if you wear lipstick, a lip color for yourself, you want it to be flattering and aesthetically pleasing on your face. There are so many colors, there's just regular colors too. I tend to go for classic, traditional, natural, or enhanced pinks and reds. That doesn't mean you can't go with blues and greens and purples and yellows and oranges. And again, starting from the edges, it's just such a bright, beautiful pink. Really delicately. She's got a bit of a nice pout too. Darker on the edges. And the number of times you go over it, you can let it dry and see if you want more, is really up to you and your drawing. And if you want to outline it more, like do I want to go in with, again, one of these to build up and get more definition? These work really well. I actually got this set one time free with a subscription box I used to get for cool supplies from paper stores, and it wasn't a brand I was even familiar with, and I started kind of exploring because they have such a fine tip, and so they work really well for these kinds of details, and I will include them when I am rendering my little paper doll. So there is R85. It's such a fun, bright, happy pink, builds really nicely, and I love it as a lip color. So there you have it, y'all. These are my top 5 Copic sketch markers for rendering lip colors: R81, RV99, R89, E04, and R85. I love these markers for lip color, and if you're looking and exploring or trying to add or figure out, give these a try. Let me know. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. I hope you all had as much fun with this video and the previous ones, if you had a chance to check them out, for skin tone and hair color, as I did. It is always so fun to render little fashion faces, and doing all these details and working on a slightly larger scale than I'm used to is just a real treat. So I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you have any questions about these markers, any comments, if you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, if it was fun, let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. I had so much fun, and I can't wait to see what you create. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me today in the studio, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.